Mr. Bhutar, I had seen your hand raised. Do you still have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Dr. Conway, Chief Kenny, and Ms. Walker for coming over. You have a lot of important and busy things to do, but spending time here is also very reassuring to the community. At times I have seen over the years that in the board, that board in the course of its business
Mr. Bhutar, could you use your
perform
microphone,
certain
please?
duties and or functions, and there is no end in sight as to when that problem will go away. So that problem keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming. Some parents don't want to know what the right answer is. They think what they think is the right answer. And they become very angry, desperate, sort of hopelessness in their attitude. Lot of anger. Thank God it has never happened. I hope, I pray to God that it never happens. But so did Newtown, never happened. These things do happen. What do we have in terms of those situations where certain parents just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming? The administration has done whatever it should have done, it could have done, and it has done. But they keep coming, if not personally, then telephonically. I mean, it's an issue which I'm afraid is waiting for something to happen. I would just like to bring it to the attention of Dr. Conway and Chief and Mr. Walker that we should pay some attention to that issue. Thank you.
If I may, Dr. Conway, this body here is similar to the town council, similar to the legislature being a public forum. People have a right to come before here to speak their piece. They have a right to be heard, whether you want to hear their message or not. They have a right to be heard. Infringing on their right to come before this board to speak, is unconstitutional. They have a right to be here. They're the taxpayers. You may not want to hear their message, but they do have a right to put their message forward. Having said that, if their conduct crosses the line, when it goes long, it's no longer a fair public criticism, it becomes threatening, it becomes disruptive. He certainly has a body here, have a right to request a police officer to be present, to maintain decorum within the meetings. We have sent officers to P&Z meetings. We've sent officers to town council meetings where they thought there might be an issue, just to make sure everything stayed calm. Certainly, if Dr. Conway, any member of the board, called up with a concern, we would certainly consider that, as a request, and we would certainly have someone come here to ensure that things stay within, the decorum and nobody's going to get hurt. The idea is to allow people to have their time before this board to speak their piece, but do so in a manner which is, safe and not going to cause a disruption of the meeting itself. If Dr. Conway, if anybody here called me, certainly we would take that request seriously. I would put plainclothes detectives. If need be, I'd have a uniformed officer here. The idea is to make sure that everybody is safe at the end of the day. So if anybody here has any concerns, please let us know. I don't attend the meetings that often. I don't know exactly what the issues before you might be. I certainly go to enough town council meetings, so I know if there's something that's going to be heated, we might have to have a presence of an officer, if not myself. But let us know. It goes back to Dr. Conway's message about communication with the police department. We're here to help. We're not an isolated island. We'll do whatever we can to make sure that your schools are safe, your business offices are safe, and your meetings here are safe. We don't want anybody to get hurt.
Mr. Hull, may I just add?
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate what Chief Kenny has said in terms of the decorum about the complaints and certainly concerns that are very, very real concerns. If I just may say a word or two about the content of those concerns, I would like to reassure parents that what I have shared here is, I was the only one speaking, so it was really from the school system's point of view. That's only a small piece of, certainly we need to practice, we need to be ready, and the police need to know that we're going to do what they've told us to do, which is what this is. The police have a far greater plan that we are only a part of. They're not just responding to us. We're doing what we're being told, and so there truly is a very large plan in town that assures the safety of large numbers of people in this community, of everybody in this community, and so we're very appreciative of that, and we're doing our part to practice so that we know that if we ever have to play our part in that we are going to do what we're supposed to do, and that the police will be able to do what they are trained to do.
Thank you. Other questions? Olivia?
As the RHS representative, I feel like now of all times is a very important time to speak of concerns that students have brought to their teachers' attentions. I know in school we've spent time in almost every class talking about procedures, and I just wanted to bring attention to some of the larger problems that a lot of students were personally concerned about. A lot of students were concerned about passing times and lunchtime, because while we do have fire drills and lockdowns, when they are not planned during a passing time or during lunch. And that is not an unrealistic situation. And we want to know what to do. Also, when kids are outside going to the student parking lot, or kids in photo actually go outside to shoot, and there isn't a gym class to join for safety, how are we going to communicate when there is even a lockdown? How are those kids supposed to know? And I think that's a very important issue. And also, not only teacher to student communication, but also student to student. I think the atmosphere of student-student relations is sometimes very tense at our school. And I know when we were talking about problems, a lot of kids were more concerned about in-school threats rather than someone coming into the building. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, and hopefully my input was helpful.
Thank you very much, Olivia, for that feedback.
I may make a comment though about what Ms. Whitehead has said. A while back there was a threat against the Newington school system. I'm sure everybody here remembered it. A student inside the school had threatened to bring an explosive device into the school. It was the students themselves that found out about this incident that was going to take place. Police got involved because of the students' involvement. And it goes back to Dr. Conway, the old axioms, snitches get stitches. We need to instill in our students, our faculty and stuff, that we need to report these things. They need to be brought to the attention of the SRO, the principal, a trusted adult. The quicker the police department gets involved, the quicker we can intervene, the quicker a lot of these threats can be managed. We take everything very seriously. We had a threat that was made via Facebook. Gotta forgive me, I don't know a thing about Facebook or Twitter or any of these things. I can barely use a cell phone. But information was relayed about a possible threat, and we got involved with that. Dr. Conway worked with Sergeant O'Connor. Sergeant O'Connor was flooded with concerned parents. And although we didn't appreciate the volume of calls, we certainly very much appreciated them getting us involved early. We were able to possibly identify the kids, and it turned out to be nothing more than imagination. But we stationed officers at the school just to be sure, and put officers at other schools just for the reassurance. We take the information very seriously. The big disconnect is we don't get the information. So, Dr. Conway's initiative about the safe school climate. That would be very well appreciated by the police department, because unless we're brought into it at an early stage where we can investigate, we can respond, which we will do in all incidents. We're going to take everything very seriously. We don't poo-poo anything. We don't just put it off as talk. We're going to investigate. I think that that's going to be a very big portion of this school security program, is getting everybody involved.
Thank you. And we did hear Olivia mention what happens in passing. Is that our responsibility to come up with that plan, or is that something that you would help our administration, or is that what you're going to talk to?
You're right on both counts. That is correct. And as a matter of fact, at the high school, those are the things they're talking about right now. So I can assure you, before the spring is out, you will have had drills during passing time, during cafeteria time. Both kinds of drills, the fire drills as well as hard lockdown drills. But that's what they're talking about right now, and I know you've got your next advisory is planned to go through all of these protocols. And you're not going to remember them all right away. It'll be easier to remember what to do during a block when you're in a classroom and practice that, and then you'll be, even though you'll have all the information, and as those practices go on through the spring, you'll be doing them at other times as well. And it just has to become automatic. If you were in the cafeteria during a fire drill, would you know what to do right now? Do you go to your previous class teacher? Do you go to your next class teacher? And all of that when you exit the building. So that is being talked about. I was talking to Mr. Kane about it the other day, and that will be brought up. In fact, Mr. Kane has an idea of what he might do in a certain situation from the cafeteria, and he's already done his lockdown this month, so he is bringing in a member of our police department next month to observe and to give feedback on that drill. So it's really, we're starting our plans as to what might be logistically feasible, and then bringing the police department in right away by the second drill this year to go over those plans and to look at them and see what might be best. So you're right on the money with those concerns. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Mrs. Goldrich.
Thank you. A couple of my questions had to do with the locking of the doors. The external threat soft lockdown says that you close windows and blinds and exterior doors. I thought the exterior doors were already locked.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll be practicing a hard lockdown, one per month for each school, but not the soft lockdown.
They need to practice those as well. Those are a little easier. That's when there's an external threat. And so blinds are generally closed on the outside, and the school day goes on as normal during the school day. So you would still go to art class and change classes at the high school and all of that. So it's a little easier to do. So they do need to do them, but not every month. The hard lockdowns are the ones that are more difficult.
And those will be starting?
They started already. 6 of the 7 schools have done them since January 2nd.
I got a question from a parent at Maple Street School. When the kids go out to recess, the teachers leave that side door open so the kids can go back go to the bathroom or whatever. How do we get around that?
Right, and we're going to have to figure that out. Either the person out at recess has to have a key, because you can't, you know that the person watching recess duty is not facing the door.
Exactly.
So if that door is open, anyone can walk into the building. And so we're looking at that all the way around, and the person going out has to have a key. So the door has to be locked, and then one person will have to go let a child back in and then back out and make sure the door is locked.
Do the teachers generally keep their classroom doors locked just as a matter of course?
Many of them have been doing that for years. Of course, it makes it difficult when I'm going around for a visit. I can't get in. But I have asked all of them to keep their doors locked. Many of them keep them open, so that if there was an emergency, all they'd have to do is shut the door at this point. But I have asked them to lock the doors because we don't have interior locking doors.
Right. So the substitutes who are in those classrooms
will need a key. They'll need a key to make sure that they can get in the morning, lock the door when they need to lock the door.